and welcome to Mama Ruth's house. Today we're going to do something very, very, very dear to my heart and special. Um, Last year we lost my ex-sister-in-law Alice to cancer, and one of her all-time favorites things that her mother made was called butter beans. They were from Georgia, and they are lima beans, and I am going to make a lightened up version, and I'm also going to post the full fat version, and we would serve these with fried potatoes and cornbread. So we are going to make oven fried potatoes and Jiffy Box cornbread, lightened up. And I want to dedicate this episode to her sons, James, Shawn, and Keith, and to her brothers and sister. I love them dearly. They were a part of my life for 20 plus years, and I loved her dearly. And with that, I want to show you guys how we made these. They're a relatively low point meal when we figure this all in. And I have some vegan, I can't believe it's not butter, and a couple of spritz of olive oil in the pan that I'm getting hot. And we're going to add some onion, cook it, and some ham. Now, we used to use ham hock, or we used bacon or ham, whatever we had available to make this meal. I'm going to show you how it's done. You can look in here. I'm going to start it on the hot plate, and then it takes a couple hours to cook, so I'm going to move it to my stove after that. So I got this warming up. It's pretty warm, so I'm going to add our onions. And I just did a half of a pretty good size onion. Chopped it up. Get those translucent. In fact, when Alice was on hospice at the end of her life, I sent her some butter beans, and I kept the text. She texted me that she was so thankful and she loved them so much and appreciated it. And again, we all loved her. This was a staple in our house. We used to make this all the time. Takes a little bit to get this hot and going. Now it's sizzling. It's going. I hope everyone had a wonderful day. It's beautiful here, but it's a little bit warm today. It's going to be in the 90s. But it's good for my garden. I just like to cook these a little bit first to start, and then I cook the ham a little bit with it just to get the flavors kind of going together. And then we'll put the beans and cover them with water. And then they cook, like I said, probably a couple hours. So beans are 0 points. Ham is relatively low points. So it's really the butter that's in here. And a little tiny, we didn't even use a teaspoon of oil. So it's going to be very, just a scant. I've made these many, many, many times in my life. I've washed the lima beans, and as they called them, looked them. We looked the lima beans to make sure there's no bad ones in there. Just want to bring out the flavors of the onion. Like I said, it's going to cook a couple of hours, so it's really not that we're cooking it. We're just kind of bringing out the flavors. And if you make this and you make it a different way, I would like to hear that as well. This is the way that my mother-in-law, Margaret, showed me how to make it. Of course, they used a whole stick of butter. Hence, I think that's why they were called butter beans. I'm going to add the ham. Just kind of cook it together just a little bit, and then we'll add the beans. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the subscribe button. It really helps my channel. The like button, and share, please, so I can bring you more wonderful family recipes like this. It smells so good already. All right, that's good. We just need to get those together a little bit. And we're going to add the beans. This is 1 pound of lima beans. And I'm going to add the water just to cover. As these cook down, you will have to add some more water, so you have to keep an eye on them. I just give them a little stir. Then we're going to add a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion powder, about a half a teaspoon of salt and pepper. And we'll taste them and see if we need to add anything different a little bit later. I usually don't measure, so it's kind of hard to see how much we're going to be using. So I'm going to start with that, and then we'll test it. And then when I figure it all out, it'll be in the recipe correctly. You're just going to bring that to a low boil and let it cook for, like I said, a couple of hours till they're soft. I'm going to turn you off, and we'll be back when they're about done. Okay, we're going to be making the cornbread, and I used to make it we always made it from the Jiffy Mix. And so you just add 1 box of the Jiffy Mix. It takes only a little while. We're going to add 1 egg. We have our oven preheated to 400 degrees. We're going to take 1/3 cup of water. I don't use milk, I use water. I've always used water. Doesn't make a difference. I've done it with both. I can't tell a difference. This lowers the calories for us, but I've made it this way many years. I'm sure someone out there will argue that it does make a difference, but maybe I just can't tell the difference. I made this so many times that I used to never measure. I would just dump some water in there until it was the consistency I thought. That is it. You just make a little batter like that. I've put some spray in the pan. This doesn't make a lot. You could use 2 boxes if you're going to feed more people. I just make 1. And there you go. I'm going to bake it and put it in the oven. And it bakes for, I forgot how many minutes. 15 to 20 minutes. We'll check it in 15. Let's put the timer on. The beans aren't close to being done, but I thought I'd show you what they look like. So far, this is how they look. They look delicious. They're smelling good. All right, our cornbread is done. It's perfect. I put it in there for 15 minutes. I'm going to leave it cool for just a few minutes, and then I'll turn it out onto a plate. To be honest, many times we just served it directly from here. It usually was the last thing done, and I would put butter on top. I'm not, because we're trying to lighten this meal up. But normally we would put butter on top of it and then cut it and serve it in little wedges. But it is delicious either way. So we're going to turn that out in a little bit. And while we're still waiting for the beans, in just a little while, we'll go ahead and get our potatoes ready to go in the oven so that we can have our oven fried potatoes. Okay, we are back, and we are going to make the oven fried potatoes. I have some potatoes cut up that I put in a bowl with some olive oil, and I'm just going to mix them up. I put a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to put some more when I put them on the pan. I sprayed the pan, the baking sheet with some olive oil spritzer. So it just has a little bit on there. I'm going to, let me put you down so you can see what I'm doing. Just going to layer these in a layer, a single layer. Again, I'm just going to put just a little more salt and pepper so that they all have some salt and pepper. I don't think pepper, I think just salt. All right. Put them in the oven for 425. And then we'll check them in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, I want you to see the beans. The beans are just about ready. They look amazing. They look so good and smell so good. We're going to keep cooking those for a little bit longer while our potatoes are cooking, and we'll bring you back in a little bit. It turned out so yummy. It looks delicious. This is the oven fried potatoes, the butter beans, and the cornbread. We'll try one bite. So yummy. Super delicious. This was one of Alice's favorite meals. And I miss her a lot. And I am so grateful that I'm able to pass these recipes on to the family. And I just thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share. And I am dedicating this to her boys, James, Shawn, and Keith, and to her brothers and sister. And I just thank you again for watching. And until next time, make a fantastic day. And thank you so much.